Is it a good idea to hire an attorney before you've even been charged with a crime? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. Well, I'm going to go ahead and guess that it probably is a good idea to hire an attorney at that point.
Yes, I would agree. So it's never too early to hire a defense attorney if you feel like you're being investigated or you wonder, did I commit a crime? And so we really see three types of scenarios when someone calls our office before they've been arrested. And the first situation is they think they've committed a crime, but they're not sure. The second situation is somebody is telling them, I'm going to report you for this crime. And the third is law enforcement has actually reached out to them and asked to speak to them, or they have actually spoke with law enforcement about a crime. And so those are the three times when we get calls from people that are worried that they're going to be arrested.
So that's a point I think we've sort of talked about before, which is where mistakes are made. People start to think, oh, I don't need an attorney. I can just handle this on my own. It'll be fine because I didn't do anything or whatever, if it's a couple of those options. But the people who call you and the people who should be calling you are probably needing more guidance than maybe they even think they need. So what's sort of the first thing that happens when they call you?
Sure, they call and we collect some information with them. And if they're worried about a charge coming down on them, we set them for an appointment with our investigator. And our investigator gets a more detailed version of what's going on and helps them determine, okay, yes, you probably need to start preparing for the worst here, or, that's probably not going to result in anything. It doesn't sound like any crime has been committed and you'll likely be fine, but if something develops, give us a call. So the investigator really at that point helps them determine should they hire us on what we call a pre-charge investigation, or are they likely just worried about nothing?
Okay, so what usually happens at that point? What are some directions that can go?
Well, if they do determine that there is a chance that they could face charges, then we offer to become their attorney for a small fee, and that allows the person to represent law enforcement if they're called and law enforcement wants to have them come down to the station. They can say, I'm sorry, but I've been directed by my attorney not to speak with you, but here's their number. And they can give the investigator, the police officer, our phone number. And that's just a strong way of telling them I've been advised not to make a statement. And, the officer rarely actually reaches out to our office to talk to us, but they know that the person is not going to make a statement, is not going to come in for an interview, is not going to visit with them without us present.
So that sounds like, I'm going to guess that's like the number one thing you have to keep reminding people is don't just talk to the police, right?
Yes, because, sometimes people don't understand that what they did is being investigated as a crime. They don't even necessarily understand that, they did something wrong. Maybe they did something, but what they thought was an accident, and they don't see that that's criminal. So they don't understand their circumstances. And then, we'll see people that they've done something that they know if the authorities found out would be a crime. And so, they have the potential of wanting to go and talk their way out of it. And so in those situations where, they've done something wrong or they don't know if they've done something wrong, they can potentially, shoot themselves in the foot, so to speak, because they may try to explain themselves too much, or they may actually, misrepresent some things. And either way, they end up giving the officer evidence to use against them.
Yeah, that seems like a point when a lot of people need guidance, because it's really counterintuitive to not talk when you're being asked to talk, especially if it's sort of done in a friendly tone, by the police, and you're right there to advise them. So you mentioned earlier that at this point, they would have hired you as their attorney at this point. So prior to that, have you not been hired as their attorney, or is there some other way that you're hired?
No, they actually become a client. They sign a fee agreement, a service agreement, and we've signed them up. They are on our client list, and they have the right to have us present if they talk to law enforcement.
Okay, so do you have a separate sort of pre-engagement package that you offer the people before they sign on to be represented by you?
Yes, it's a fraction of what it would cost to actually hire us to represent them if they were charged, but it makes us available so that, if they go to court, if they get arrested and they end up having to go to court, we can reach out to their family member. We can make all the other arrangements to be their attorney in the actual charged conduct. And we've already spoke with them to help us make bond arguments so that we can show the court, they're not a flight risk, and what they have as far as ties to the community, reasons that the bond conditions should be maybe less than what they would be without an attorney. So we help prepare for going in front of the judge and getting a reasonable bond with as few bond conditions as possible. So that's part of the pre-charge package. We prepare to go to court with them. We also, prior to them being arrested or prior to them talking to law enforcement, we help them get their affairs in order. That is, get evidence put together, get us a list of witnesses to talk to, and really start hitting the ground running if they are in fact charged. Well, all of these events are fresh in their mind because sometimes it can be months from the time the incident or the alleged incident occurred and when the charges are actually filed with the court and the arrest warrant is issued. And so, in that time between when it happened and when they go to court, they need to, write down details that may help us help them. And if they don't do it soon, they may forget they may not realize or forget when it comes time to go to court.
Okay, so this, as you said, initially applies to people who think they may have committed a crime but aren't sure. People who have someone accusing them of a crime, but none of that is officialized yet. And then the other one is law enforcement has actually reached out to them and said, hey, we just need a few statements about something. Those are the three spots someone could be in where they might need this pre-charge service of yours, right?
Yes, and even, if the person got caught off guard and actually went and talked to the police and, they've actually made a statement and they understand more clearly of what they're being accused of, even at that point, before they've been arrested, that's probably the most critical time to get us involved in a pre-charge investigation.
All right. So if someone needs that service, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. We'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.